It is Sunday. It is 3:30. I I always have like this moment of when I start the live before anyone gets in here, where it's just me and the screen. I always have this moment of, hey, we're back. Um, it's Sunday. It's 3:30, so we got 3 more minutes before our official start time. But I like to get here a little bit early, mainly because I'm just so excited. I'm so excited to have this conversation. I'm so excited to have you all a part of this conversation. I know, like many of you, I look forward to this time. 2 times in one weekend. Absolutely, Lori. Yesterday was just felt. I just knew. Lindsay, welcome. How are you? Teresa, welcome. How are you? Yesterday, I just felt the need to have that conversation about our thoughts. And I think a lot of times I'm inspired, especially for like an impromptu live. I'm inspired by maybe a conversation that I had with someone or someone that reached out to me directly and something that we talked about or something. Let's go double dose. Absolutely, absolutely. Double dose for the weekend, right? And that just lets us know it's going to be an amazing week. But yeah, normally if it's an impromptu live, I'm inspired by a conversation that I'm having with someone, or it's inspired by a theme that I see in questions that people are asking me, or in comments that people are making. And I really, for love me, how are you? Welcome to the conversation. And when I notice that there is a theme in questions that people are asking me, or a theme in things that people are saying to me, I try to address that information in a live so that I can reach a mass amount of people. And I really saw that. And I also got the revelation that a lot of what people struggle with, even in using the journal and even in being on a healing journey, it starts with your thoughts. And I really, really wanted to have that conversation yesterday, and I'm glad that we did, because it was an impactful conversation. Um, we have a really good agenda for today. I'm excited. There are a lot of things that I want to celebrate today, and I'm glad to be able to celebrate that with you all. I'm glad to be able to. So I'm excited. I'm excited. It is officially 3:33. Welcome to Sunday Serving. This is a conversation. This series of our Sunday Serving conversations have been around the shadow work journal. Um, I'm excited because we've reached a place in the journal that for me was somewhat of a milestone. And it allows us to kind of switch up the format of what we've been doing up until this point. And I'm excited about that because it's going to give us an opportunity to cover a lot more information and to really touch on some things that I know many of you want us to cover and speak about. So again, welcome to all of you that are on Sundays in anticipation of this conversation. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. Um, I keep there you go. Um, I appreciate each and every one of you being here. I appreciate you all being a part of this conversation. I appreciate you all being a part of this community. This is our community of healing and our community of healers. It's always good to be in the midst of people that value healing in the process of becoming the best version of themselves that they can be. A large part of what makes this so unique, what we're doing on this app, around this journal and just in general, is that we're coming together in a way to be a support system for one another. I've been doing shadow work for quite some time now. Beard compliment. Thank you. I've been doing shadow work for quite some time now. And even before I came across the shadow work journal, even almost 10 years ago, before I knew what shadow work really was, A lot of the things that I was doing in my life was a lot of what I later learned was a part of what shadow work is. So when I came across the journal, and realized what the journal was and the value of it in helping people to understand not only what shadow work is, but in helping them to actually do shadow work, I wanted to be a part of it, and that's why we're here on Sundays. So again, thank you to each and every one of you for joining this conversation, for being a part of this conversation. I'm excited. So I'm going to get into a lot of the things that I want to cover before we actually get into what we're going to do with the journal today. First, I want to celebrate some milestones. Like I said, we've actually covered all 6 of the wound mapping fill in the blank activities. So there are 6 in the journal, in the section of the journal that we were in. We have now completed all 6 of those activities. If you just got your journal, or if you have not received your journal as of yet, you can go to our YouTube page, youtube.com/@girl_dad. And I'm going to have it put in the comments here, just so you all can see it and have it. You can go to the YouTube page where you'll be able to catch all of the lives that you may have missed. So everything that we've done here on Sundays, all of these videos are uploaded to that YouTube page, and it's youtube.com/@girl_dad. So again, if you're just getting your journal and you haven't had an opportunity to follow along and you've missed all of the fill in the blank activities that we spoke about and we talked in depth about, you can go to the YouTube page. That's youtube.com/@girl_dad, and you can catch all of that content there. You'll also be able to catch other content that relates to healing, that relates to self-help, that relates to just doing the work necessary so that you can have the life that you desire for yourself. So if you have not gone there yet, go ahead to that YouTube page and subscribe. Another milestone that we're celebrating, besides the fact that we've completed all 6 of the fill in the blank activities in the first section of the journal, that YouTube page that I'm referencing, we crossed the threshold for over 500 subscribers. I'm extremely excited about that. A lot of times many of you reach out to me directly and tell me how you're being impacted, your life is being impacted, and your healing journey is being impacted by what I'm doing and some of these conversations that we're having. And I greatly appreciate that, because that's what keeps me motivated, as well as seeing that people are interested enough in this content that they're willing to subscribe even to these lives and to the YouTube page. So for me, that is something that I celebrate. That is a milestone that I'm going to celebrate with you all, that we've crossed the threshold of over 500 subscribers on YouTube. Let's keep going. We're going to be launching the I Am Healing podcast on YouTube. So if you are not subscribed to the YouTube page, very soon here, even the Sunday conversations are going to be transitioning to YouTube, and I'm just going to be posting clips of these conversations here on TikTok. So I would definitely recommend that you go over to the YouTube page, subscribe there, put on the notification bell, so that as we transition more of the long form content to YouTube, you're not going to miss out on any of that. Another milestone I want to celebrate, just because of the content and the information that we've been putting out there, I've had an opportunity to actually be a guest on several podcasts of several people who align with a lot of this self-healing work, align with really people that want to do the work to get the best results out of their life. So I'm celebrating those opportunities, because it really gives me a chance to get out there and speak to people who may not be engaged on TikTok or engaged on YouTube, but they may be engaged on these other platforms and engage with these podcast hosts, but they get an opportunity to hear this information. So I'm excited about a lot of that. And today, as I stated in the journal, we've completed the first 6 fill in the blank activities. So today is actually going to be a whole lot of fun, because There's several different spots in the journal that we're going to jump into. I have my sticky notes in here. Um, and I think this is going to be great for us to kind of bounce into these different activities. Christina, thank you for subscribing. And thank you for the well wishes. You know, one of the things that I've come to understand, and really, again, this is a testament to many of you that are here now that are consistent in showing up on Sundays. I'm learning more and more that um, not only is this work valuable because of how people are expressing how their lives are being impacted, but I'm also learning that you know there are means by which I can do this for a living. There are means by which I can create the opportunities for myself so that I can free up enough time in my life to be able to provide my gift, free up enough time in my life to be able to provide my gift, my wisdom, my insight to people that find it valuable enough that they're willing to engage in different opportunities with me. So that's something that I'm very excited about. But again, so today is going to be extremely fun. I'm also going to open up to a Q&A about the first 6 activities that we've completed. So if many of you have any questions about those activities, definitely I'm going to open up that Q&A for you to be able to do so. So with that said, let's get started. As always, one of the first things that I like to do, and I encourage for each and every one of you as you're doing your own shadow work and as you're on this healing journey, is to find some grounding exercise that works for you. I specifically like to do this breathing exercise that we're going to do here in just a few minutes. It's an exercise that I picked up doing Tai Chi. It works for me, helps me to calm down, it helps me to center myself, it helps me to be present in the moment, and that's what grounding is all about. So I encourage you to do some grounding before shadow work and after. Also, if you have an opportunity to even engage in these conversations outside, I would encourage you to do so. We are very much a part of nature. We are very much connected to nature through um, various means. So if you can get outside and actually sit and do some shadow work, or if you can get outside during these conversations, I would encourage you to do so. It does make a difference. Franklin, did not see last week's on YouTube. I just one of the things that I also love about this community, I love the accountability aspect of it. Like Franklin, is that frankly? Frankly, I don't give a damn. Okay, that's what that is. Frankly, I don't give a damn. So I did upload everything this morning to make sure that it was all uploaded. All of the yesterday's live is also uploaded onto the YouTube page. Last Sunday's live is uploaded onto the YouTube page. And then there was another live that I uploaded to the YouTube page this morning. So all of the content is on the YouTube page and it is uploaded. Frankly, I don't give a damn. I appreciate you holding me accountable to what I promised the community. And I love that. I love the fact that you guys not only hold me accountable, but you also give me that support. You give me that love. I know there's been times where I was late getting on here on Sundays and a few people would inbox me and say, hey, are we going live today? And are you okay? So I appreciate that. But everything is uploaded and it is ready to go. All right, so let's get into our breathing exercise. And then I want to jump into the different activities that we're going to do in the journal today because I believe it's going to be amazing. And then I'll open it up for some Q&A to talk directly to you all to really answer some of your questions that you may have about the activities that we've already completed. All right, so this breathing exercise, the difference between when you're normally breathing and what you want to do with this exercise is you want to pull the air into your belly. So essentially what should happen if you're doing this correctly is your stomach should inflate first before your chest rises. That's how you know that you're pulling the air into the pit of your stomach. And also, as you're doing the breathing exercise, you want to mentally imagine that air going into your lower abdomen, right? Right at the very bottom of your stomach, right in this area here. This is where you want to imagine and envisioning the air going into. You want to have a mental picture of that happening. And then as you exhale, just slowly push that air out and make sure that you're pulling in your stomach slowly to get all of the air out. Again, you'll know that you're doing this breathing activity correctly if your stomach is inflating before your chest rises. All right. I usually like to do at least 30 seconds to a minute of this before we do our lives. Personally, when I do this activity, sometimes I'll do it until I fall asleep sometimes. It's that soothing, it's that centering. But we'll do that and then we'll jump into what we have in store for us today. All right. One of the first things that I do is check my shoulders. That's how I kind of know if I'm in a relaxed state, depending on how my shoulders feel. So I just kind of drop my shoulders and relax, and then that felt amazing. That felt amazing. It definitely is very calming. Those of you that have been here regularly on Sundays, you guys joke with me and I joke with myself. Like when I come out of that breathing exercise, I'm literally a whole nother person. Like obviously I'm a lot calmer, but my voice changes, gets a little bit deeper, a little more. It's everything for me. But yeah, I'll also recommend doing that activity, that breathing exercise, 3 times a day. And you don't have to do it from a meditative point, but you're doing it just to get fresh air into your body, into your lungs. So yeah, I would recommend doing that breathing exercise at least 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and evening. It'll absolutely make a difference in your life. All right, so let's get into it. So we've completed the first 6 fill in the blank exercises. If you have your journal, then after the 6th fill in the blank exercise, the journal kind of transitions. And it transitions into really these really, really powerful activities. And I'm going to bounce around a little bit, but we're going to do some of those activities today, or rather, we're going to talk about some of those activities today. So just to get everybody caught up, if you just got your journal and you haven't been here and you're just getting here, or if you're just a passerby and you're wondering what we're working on the Shadow Work Journal. We were in section 2 of the journal, and this section really covered wound mapping, which is what the first section was. And then there were 6 fill in the blank activities after that. What we've done for the last 6 Sundays is every Sunday we've discussed in details one of those fill in the blank activities in the order that they're in the journal. And if you've missed that, you can go to the YouTube page and catch up on all of those videos and get caught up on those fill in the blank activities to get that additional guidance and that additional insight. Once you're done with those fill in the blank activities, the journal transitions into these other really, really impactful activities. And so I'm going to cover a few of those today. The activity that I want to talk about is your inner child affirmation activity. The journal isn't numbered, but if you get to the end of the fill in the blank activities, you will see that the inner child affirmation activity is, let's see, one, two, is the second activity, is the one after release stagnant energy. If you don't have your journal, that's fine. If you have the second edition, it should be in there. Oh yeah, that's the other thing too, Lindsay. Yes. If you have the second edition, you do have more fill in the blank activities. And that's the difference between the first edition, which is where we're working out of, and the second edition. Because in the first edition, there aren't as many activities. In the second edition, there are more activities. So you may have more. But we're transitioning today, and the activity that I want to talk about is your inner child affirmations. And the exercise is to find a mirror and repeat the following inner child affirmations out loud to yourself. Repeat the affirmations multiple times and notice how it begins to feel more natural and part of your inner truth. And why you're doing this activity, an affirmation is a positive phrase or statement that you can repeat to yourself on a daily or weekly cadence. By using affirmations, you can reprogram your mind to spotlight positive emotions and beliefs that may help you recover from negative self-narratives, suffering, and unhealthy habits. Once repeated enough times, an affirmation will embed into your inner consciousness, shifting old limiting thought patterns and unlocking new beliefs that help you reach your full potential. You can change the way you think, which will change the way you act and become the person you want to be. So oddly enough, that whole why is a lot of what we were talking about yesterday, right? The idea of knowing that some of these thoughts that you may be having that don't serve your best interest, that don't reflect you in the best light to yourself, first recognizing that those thoughts are not yours and you can disassociate yourself from those thoughts. What is the name of the YouTube channel? It is girl_dad. So if you just go to youtube.com/@girl_dad, that's how you find the YouTube channel. And it's also in my bio here on TikTok. So you can just kind of copy and paste it from there and it'll take you to the YouTube channel. But so yesterday, a lot of what we were talking about was understanding how you are not your thoughts. But taking that a step further, there's a process by which you can rewrite those thought patterns in your mind. And we spoke about that in detail yesterday in how you have to use your second creative faculty, which is more powerful than the first, which is basically your thoughts, your words, and your actions. So if your thoughts do not align with you, then you have to speak. If your thoughts do not align with you, then you have to speak against those thoughts, but then also speak words of affirmations that do align with you, right? So that's the work that that's the why that this exercise is talking about. But the reason I wanted to highlight this is because I want to go over some of these affirmations. And even though this is in an inner child affirmation section, these affirmations are valuable to you no matter what state you're in. No matter how long you've been doing, you've been on a healing journey, no matter how long you've been on a self-help journey, these affirmations can be beneficial to you. And I'm also going to teach you how to personalize some of these affirmations after we kind of go over some of them, right? Because not all of these are necessarily catered to you, but there's a way, once you understand the value of affirmations and the value of your voice, your literal vocal voice having power over your thoughts, then you'll understand how like your words become your weapons to combat those thoughts that have been downloaded onto your hard drive that don't belong to you. All right. So I'm going to read these affirmations and then I'm going to speak about how to personalize some of these affirmations if they don't the way that they're written, if they don't pertain to you, there's a way to personalize them. And then we'll talk a little bit about how you need to develop specific affirmations that pertain to how to where you're trying to go and that pertain to what your experiences are, right? So affirmations are simply what you recognize, words that you need to embed in your thinking to override some of the other ways of thinking that you have or that you had, right? So again, an affirmation will embed into your inner consciousness, shifting old limiting thought patterns and unlocking new beliefs. So let's read some of these affirmations. I release the feeling of guilt, hurt, and shame. I often, and there's a video that I made that I spoke about why it's important for you to forgive yourself if you were the one that experienced the trauma. What I find in working with people and talking to people that are also on a healing journey is not everyone. This is powerful. Not everyone that's on a healing journey was necessarily a victim of trauma. And there are people that are on this healing journey with us that may have caused trauma to other people. And for them, this affirmation is one that becomes very critical to their success on their healing journey. You know, the hurt and the shame applies to both the person that has been traumatized and even the people or the person that has caused that trauma. But that guilt part, I think, also goes both ways. But you know, that's part of what I've learned as I've opened myself up and really started to allow people to reach out to me directly and to start one-on-one sessions with people, is that not everyone that's on this journey with us has been someone that has experienced trauma. There are people on this journey with us that are also very much aware of some of the things that we're talking about, but they recognize that their healing is because of the pain that they've caused other people, right? And they deserve the same love and compassion, especially if they're in a genuine state of wanting to be better. One of the things that I tell them, if you do have the opportunity and you're one of those people, go back and speak to the people that you harmed. If it was your children, your family members, your friend. And when you're going back and having those conversations, don't go back with the expectation of that you will be received. Just go back with the goal that you need to acknowledge what you did, express um express um express how you feel, and then leave it up to that person to decide how they're going to respond, and however they respond should be acceptable to you, especially if you cause them harm, because it's selfish to have done something to someone and then go in when you're trying to make it right with the expectation that they ought to receive your apology or receive you in the way that you think is appropriate. That's not fair, right? But I release the feeling of guilt, hurt, and shame. If that affirmation resonates with you, Miss K, hello, all the way in Ohio. If that affirmation resonates with you, that's one that I would write and keep somewhere and go through that, right? Um, you know, I've told my story on these lives before, But prior to being the man that I am today, I was out in the streets and doing all the things that comes along with that lifestyle. So as I've made this transition, and it's been years, right? Over 10 years. But as I've made this transition, there are times when I'll encounter someone, and in hearing their story, it reminds me of things that I've forgotten that I may have done, right? And that process I've gotten to a point now where it's a lot easier because it's been years of doing this. But that process of understanding how to release guilt, hurt, and shame sometimes is where most people are hung up. So if that's something that you carry with you, this is a powerful affirmation that you can use that'll help you in rewriting some of those negative thought patterns that come with guilt, some of those negative thought patterns that come with shame, and some of those negative thought patterns that come with hurt. But here's the other thing and why it's important. Guilt, shame, specifically guilt and shame, will lead you to substance abuse. Hurt will too, but I want to target those two things. And the reason I'm targeting those two things is because oftentimes what happens with substance abuse is that you're trying to cover those thoughts that come with the guilt. You're trying to escape those thoughts that come with the shame. And in your attempt to escape that, we then take on different substances and whatever your substance of choice is, but you're consuming and abusing those substances as a means of trying to escape. Here's the thing, and most people that have recovered from substance abuse, most people just in general that have been doing self-help, and if you're really engaged in your shadow work, what you'll be honest with yourself to tell you is that shame and guilt you can't cover it with substances. You have to go back, face whatever that is, face the you that went through that experience, and release yourself from that, right? And one of the things that's critical to releasing yourself from guilt and shame is being in a genuine place of change. Here's what I mean by that. Being in a genuine place of change does not mean that the thoughts don't come up anymore. But being in a genuine place of change means that you are able to recognize what you did in those spaces, why you were wrong in those spaces, and you have genuine remorse and genuine empathy to the people that you may have caused harm to. And when you have reached that place within yourself, then when you're using this type of affirmation, you're able to let that go. Right. And that's why I always say, if you have the opportunity, go back and speak to anyone that you've harmed, but go back with just the goal of expressing, taking ownership, being accountable, but never have an expectation of how they're supposed to respond. But that's a very powerful affirmation that can be used. I am protected. When you first read this, you would think that affirmation is just for people that may have had childhood traumas. But again, from working with people on one-on-one and having one-on-one conversations with people that are on this healing journey with us, what I'm also learning is there's certain adult traumas that you can experience that will leave you with a sense in this overwhelming anxiety of always feeling unsafe. D Wild 22 said the shame is also present with those who have been traumatized. Absolutely. You're absolutely right, D Wild. And then depending on what that trauma was, if you allow that shame to sit and become a part of you, it will also drive your actions to the point that D Wilder is making. For Love Me said, this is Deep. I'm glad I came across your page. No, welcome. I'm glad you're here. The shameful traumatized is so real. No, you're absolutely right, D. Wildy. And I'm gonna I'm gonna do a live specifically on the topic of shame. There's a lot that I want to say, but I'm gonna save it just for a specific live about shame, because shame and guilt, um, shame and guilt, I've seen it cause people to no longer want to be here. So it's not, I don't want to just glaze over it. I'm gonna set aside a live where we're just gonna cover shame and guilt and talk about that in detail. So another affirmation: I accept every aspect of myself and my personality. If that resonates with you, that's one that, and so if you're one of those people that have you're excessive about you obsess over what people think about you. If you're one of those people that you obsess over what people think about you, I accept every aspect of myself and my personality, Teresa. That's what it says. But if you're one of those people that obsess over what people think about you, that's rooted and I'm not going to say where it came from, but I'm going to tell you where that obsession is rooted in. It's rooted in you not fully accepting every aspect of yourself and of your personality. Vampire Diary said, I feel guilty that I could not visit my mom at the hospital or to say I love you before she passed. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. And that's understandable. But here's the thing with guilt. Guilt should be a corrective measure, not a sustained feeling. The way that you should process guilt and see guilt is as a corrective measure and not a sustained feeling. And the reason I say that is if you feel guilty about something that you've done, then what you can control is to correct the behavior or correct what you've done. If there is no space for you to correct it, then you have to give yourself grace and compassion. And in your case, I would say it's the latter. Because you can't go back and say, hey, mom, you can't do those things. You need to extend the grace and compassion to yourself. And then also, you know your parent. Would they want you sitting with that? And if they were the type of parent that would want you sitting with guilt, then I would say you owe it to yourself to release yourself from that guilt. Christine, thank you for adding that in there. So I accept every aspect of myself and my personality. Again, if you're one of those people that you always find yourself obsessing over what people think about you, that's because you haven't accepted every aspect of yourself and of your personality. Because here's the thing, and we had a great conversation about this either last Sunday. The moment you accept you, you'll find your people. The moment you accept you, you'll find your tribe. The moment you accept you, you'll find your person. The thing is, because you keep misrepresenting yourself, because you're not fully embracing who you are, because you're not walking in a sense of your true self, you're not attracting to you the people that you belong to. Make sense? Put a one in the comment if that makes sense to you. That's why it's important to embrace you. And here's the other thing, right? And this is something I want you all to be conscious of. We live in a society that has given us all some ideas of who we should be and what is acceptable as far as what we can be. So by intent, ooh, by intent, the insecurity that many people feel about who they are is by intent. That's by design, right? So when you feel that, first of all, don't feel like something's wrong with you, but you need to understand that the societal norms and the societal roles and the structures and the ideas that we're supposed to be are designed to keep us separated. They're designed to keep us at odds. They're designed to keep people in a place where we're all judgmental of each other, where we're all wary of each other, where we're all uncertain about each other, right? So the way that we combat that, it starts from within. First, you recognizing that who you are is acceptable. Who you are is lovable. Who you are is valued. Who you are, there are people that will love you as you are. There are people that will love you fully being yourself. And I don't mean the shadow parts of you, and I don't mean the poor behavior patterns that came out of your trauma. I don't mean the negative things. I mean the part of you that you're afraid that you can't be because people won't embrace you. That's playing into the narrative. The minute that you start to be yourself, you will find that there are like-minded people that have been around you that you just haven't attracted, or you haven't opened your eyes or opened their eyes to see you because you haven't shown up as your genuine true self. Teresa says, my mom rejected me and my brother, and I had to disconnect from her and find my worth. So there's this narrative that says if you are healed, then you should be able to deal with people. It's not true. Right? The need to separate from certain people can be the very act of me showing you how healed I am. I don't have to put myself through certain things to prove to anyone that I'm healed. The healing is within me. The healing is for me, right? And sometimes the very act of separating myself, I felt that one. I felt that one. The very act of separating myself from you is an indicator of me being healed. Why? Because sometimes in our trauma, we will attach ourselves to the people that are abusing us and continue to take that, not knowing that that is a trauma response. Sometimes we think I have to be strong. I have to endure. I have to overcome something to show that I've made it through. No, you do not. That too can be a trauma response. The idea that I need to be around you, or that I have to subject myself to abuse, or I have to subject myself to your nastiness, or I have to subject myself to the way that you speak to me in order for me to show that I'm healed, or in order for me to show that I'm strong enough, that too can be a trauma response. Because at the end of the day, what you should be prioritizing is your peace and not anyone else's opinion. That's what that is primary on this healing journey, not people's opinion. If you're trying to prove to someone how healed you are, that's an indicator that you still have work to do. So sometimes the you getting away is the indicator that, no, I'm good. I'm separating myself from you because I don't have to subject myself to your abusive ways. At the same time, as I separate myself from you, I harbor no resentment to you. I harbor no unforgiveness towards you. I just know that I don't have to subject myself to this because I now have a value for myself, a value for my peace, a value for my inner peace that I'm not willing to surrender to you. Gloria Ann says, so me staying at a job that exhausts me is a trauma response because I stay because I will feel like I'm running. I didn't know where that was going to end, Gloriana, but absolutely. I thought you were jokingly saying me staying at a job that exhausts me is a trauma response, but I stay because they pay the bills. I thought that's what you were going to say, but absolutely. Think about it. Mhm. The idea that ooh, the idea that someone's thought that I'm running outweighs my own spiritual, mental, and emotional health is something that I need to question. Christine said, I want no contact with narcissistic family to help my healing. Sometimes you get put it like this. If I was riding a bike and I fell off the bike and dislocated a joint, like I'm not, yes, you have to get away sometimes in order as a part of your healing, and then sometimes you get away as a result of you having healed from whatever that continuous ongoing trauma is. Warrior says 80% of the world is unhealed. It's hard to find people who are healing or healed. I thought that. I thought that. And here's what I learned, Warrior. When I became an agent of healing, meaning I started to do the work within myself, which led me to start treating people differently. I started to attract to me like-minded people. And watch this. Here's the other thing about healing. And I've seen this conversation happen before, where people that are healed condemn other people. That's not what you're doing, Warrior, but this is necessary to be said. People that are healed will condemn other people who they deem haven't done the work. That's also an indicator that you still have work to do. Because people that are healed have a huge sense of compassion and empathy for those who are on their journey or that have not started the journey because you can see yourself in them. So healing is not this space that you go into and then you become arrogant or you become I'm better than thou. Those are people that still need work. When you really get on a healing journey, you start to develop a huge sense of compassion and empathy for those that have not started their journey or those that have just started their journey because you understand you were there before, and you being on the other side, you understand what they're facing. So you don't look at them judgmental from a judgmental space. You don't look at them from a holier than thou space, but you look at them as, how can I help you? Because if no one helped me, or if I didn't find this information on TikTok or wherever it was, if nobody helped me, I could still be where you are. So once you start that process within you, I promise you, you will find like-minded people not only around you, but you will find people that have a desire for healing but don't have a path for healing. So once you start, people will start, and even if no one around you is healed or no one around you even cares to be healed, when people start to see the change in you, when they start to see the change in your actions, it will spark a desire or at least an an inquisitiveness in them for them to try to understand, what are you doing? Because you're changing, your life is changing, you're happier. I want to know and I want to learn whatever it is that you're doing. So it all starts from within, right? Be a reflection of the world that we want to see. Can you repeat that, or will it be online? That was profound. I'm not sure which part of Gloriana, but it will be online. This will be uploaded a little bit later this evening, if not first thing tomorrow morning. I have a question. What do you do when you have repressed memories because of a bad, traumatic childhood? So, Christina, honestly, this is exactly what the Shadow Work Journal does, right? This is exactly what we've kind of been covering for the last 5 to 6 weeks. Um, it's a process of, some of these activities are designed to take you to different places. But what you find is that when you start to do the activities that you are comfortable doing, the ones that you can spark a memory of, that's good. So here's what happens. And you'll notice this as you go on your healing journey, right? There are spaces within your mind, in your subconscious mind, that you will go because they're not as jarring, or they're not as traumatic, or they're not as painful, right? So what happens, Kim, welcome. Don't worry about it. You're good. It's almost been an hour. That's crazy. Um, so what happens is, once you work on the places that you are comfortable going, your mind, your subconscious mind, starts to feel safer to release to you the things that you were more afraid of dealing with. And like I always say, if you've experienced severe trauma or abuse, definitely partner with a licensed professional to do shadow work, or to even kind of get the therapy and the help that you need. But what happens is, it's like taking baby steps, right? You want to work on the parts of you that you can remember, the things that you can go back to, the things that you're able to recall. Because once you make those spaces safe for yourself, once you're able to reframe some of those memories, then you kind of develop this sense of, okay, it's safe. I can do this. I can get to these places that I may have repressed, those deeper memories. I feel safer going there. So it's first thing I would say is take the baby steps, work with the experiences that you're comfortable going back to. And then as you do that, what will happen is you become a little bit more comfortable to go a little bit deeper. I help take care of my mom. She calls me trauma, and I haven't verbally apologized, only in writing. I help take care of my mom. She calls me trauma, and haven't verbally apologized, only in writing. But took the letter back. It bothers me. So for love me, here's what I'll give you. And this is a powerful tool. Your healing journey is not dependent upon you receiving an apology, unless you make that a standard. Your healing journey does not require an apology for you to grow and move on, unless you make it a standard. And I would suggest to you, it's not a standard. I'll go a step further and tell you this. Anybody that owes you an apology, or that needs to apologize for a thing, don't even go for their apology. Go to give them forgiveness. Let me show you what forgiveness is. When you hurt me in a traumatic enough way that has left an impression upon my life, you made a deposit in my life. I like that. When you hurt me in a traumatic way that have made an impression upon me, that is having an ongoing impact in my life, You made a deposit. Waiting for your apology is me holding on to this deposit until you show up at the bank. Put it like this. It's like someone dumping trash in your backyard and you waiting for them to come back and either A, recognize that they dumped the trash in order for you to remove it. The forgiveness part is you taking their deposit back to them and saying, hey, many years ago, you left this and it has been eating me up. Today, I return it back to you and I forgive you. Don't even need your apology. It's not a necessity. I forgive you as a means of releasing myself from this deposit that you made into my life. To require an apology in order for you to move on is for you to say, I know you dropped that trash in my yard. I'm not going to do anything about it until you decide to do something about it. But it's your yard. It's your life. They may never decide to come and get that trash out of your yard. They may never decide to come and get that trash that they left into your life. They may never decide that they were wrong for what they did to you. They may never see the error in their ways. They may never come back to you and say they were sorry. So you cannot live in a state of bondage waiting on the person that actually did you the wrong to come back to make it right. You have that ability to go, don't need this anymore. And that's really that's a large part of your healing journey. It's understanding that you holding on to resentment and you holding on to unforgiveness is you taking the trash that somebody deposited into your life and holding on to it and waiting for them to come and get it. And what I'm trying to tell you and teach you is you have the ability to take that trash back and not even dump it in their yard. Kindly tell them, I don't need this anymore. And genuinely let them go. See, sometimes until you release the trauma, you're both bonded energetically by what they did to you. Until you release them through forgiveness, through letting it go, you're both bonded by that act. That's where a lot of our triggers come from. Where you see somebody that talks like them, you're triggered. And especially in cases of SA, and I know that is a tough one, right? That is a hard one. And when I work with people that have experienced SA, one of the things that I tell them is, as traumatic as that is, because of how we are designed, that act definitely leaves a deposit in your life. And it is imperative that you, as the person that were victimized, that you go through the process of forgiveness. Not because they deserve it, not because they want it, not because you can even make it to that person. That's not even necessary. But what happens is you're bonded with that person. They left a deposit in your life. And if you don't go through the process of forgiveness, or if you need them to come and apologize or to be apologetic or resentful for what they did, then you are in that contract with them willingly at this point. Listen, you have to, sometimes perspective helps us to really see. Sometimes changing your perspective gives you the insight that you needed, right? And that perspective of understanding that I this is a point where I have the opportunity, and now I'm being given the information to where I understand that I don't have to hold on to this. And a part of holding on to it is the unforgiveness. That's the not only am I holding on to how I feel about what you did to me by not releasing you through forgiveness, but I'm keeping that connection between us. Is requiring my mom to do the work for herself before I can have a relationship with her a good idea? I wouldn't put, again, what you'll hear me emphasizing here are the things that we control. I wouldn't put the onus on anybody having to do anything. I would not put the onus on anybody else having to do anything as a condition for what I want to or what I need to do. Does that make sense? If I want to have a relationship with you, I'm not going to put the onus of you having to do a thing for me to have the relationship with you. What I'm going to do is ask myself, am I in a space where I can have the relationship with you that will not disturb my peace, my happiness, and what I want for myself? If I can say yes to that, you don't have to do nothing. It's kind of like the forgiveness piece. Do I need you to regret what you did to me? Do I need you to be apologetic of what you did to me in order for me to forgive you? Absolutely not. I don't even need your involvement. I don't even need your knowledge. You're not necessary in order for me to do the thing that I need to do along my healing journey. Right? So if you can have that relationship in this, if you can have that relationship, let the relationship be based on who you are and not who they can be or who they need to be. I'll give you a good example of that. I remember when I was like 23, 24, and I went to my dad way before I even understood what shadow work was, but I was doing the work. I went to my dad and I told him I forgave him for my upbringing. He looked at me like, I have no clue what you're talking about. Till this day, and I've gotten to a point now where the relationship that I have with my dad is based on me. I lead our relationship because he's still the same man that he was. Nothing's changed about him. But I have changed. Ooh, there it is. I've changed so much that he's different with me. I've grown so much as a man, and I've grown so much in my healing journey that when I come around now, the environment shifts in the way that he and I engage because he knows he's dealing with something different than what he left. So the relationship that he and I have is based on what I've established from the healing that I've done in the man that I am. My dad hasn't changed one bit. I don't require him to. But I've changed. And I've changed enough that the space that I can hold with him is space that I create. Christina, you know it's coming. So let's do this, right? Because I like to adjust to what our collective energy is doing, right? I'll read some more of these affirmations, but as I go through them, I'm going to pay attention to you all's questions so that I can answer some of these questions. And this will kind of be like the Q&A section that I was going to do a little bit later. Okay. I am loved. I would recommend that that's just a part of your daily affirmations, regardless what you've been through. Regardless where you are in your life, I am loved should be a part of your daily affirmations. And I'll tell you this much. Ooh. If you're in a relationship, if you're in a relationship, and this is good relationship advice. I ex- mm, I exemplify my expectations in my relationship. And I'm going to tell you how this connects to I am loved as an affirmation. I exemplify my expectations in my relationship. By exemplifying my expectations, I'm doing several things that are going to serve the relationship as well as inform me of a lot about my partner. Here's what I mean. The I am loved is an affirmation that you say for yourself, but if you're in a relationship, you should hear that affirmation from your partner. And the way that you establish that in your relationship, every single day you tell your partner, you're loved. I love you. Make that a thing, right? Because if you expect them to say that, the first thing that you do is exemplify that expectation. You're loved. I love you. You do that on a regular basis, right? And you watch and see how your partner responds to that. If that becomes something that they pick up and they start to say that back to you as a regular part of your relationship, then you have, okay, I get it. If that's not something that they pick up and they start to say that back to you, then you need to do an assessment. And that assessment is, how do they communicate their love? Because some people don't always, their love language or your love language may not be something that you need to hear. But just as some basic relationship advice, exemplify what your expectations are in your relationships, exemplify them. If I expect someone to be honest, I'm going to be honest. If I expect someone to be loyal, I'm going to be loyal. If I expect someone to be kind, I'm going to be kind. Do that with your life in general. Exemplify the things that you expect of other people. Doesn't make you a sucker. That is the fastest learning tool when it comes to people. Because what we do sometimes is we'll have an expectation of someone that we're not willing to exemplify and then get upset because they can't exhibit what it is that we expect. So for me, the easiest way to show you what I expect, I'm going to exemplify this for you. I'm going to be the example of what I expect of you. I'm going to let you see it. I'm going to let you feel it. I'm going to let you experience it so that if it is required that we have a conversation, I have the reference of going, hey, you know why I do this? Why I do that? Why I do these things to you? Is because I want to express this for you. So Tina, that's a great question. And yes, this is going on the YouTube. Tina says, what is the difference between I love you and you are loved? That's a good question. Here's the difference. I love you. Whew, I love you is me personally expressing this affection to you. You are loved goes beyond me. See, sometimes I may because of my experiences, I may be under the impression that you're the only person that loves me. I may be under the impression that you're the only person that cares for me. And that could just be because of my experiences. That could just be because of what I've been through, the trauma I've been through. But you are loved goes beyond me, right? And if you have, come on, fantastic. Right on time. Right on time. And I was going to say, if you have a foundational faith-based belief, or if you have a foundational belief in a creator, what I'm saying to you when I say you are loved, I'm letting you know it is not just me. You are loved. And then if we want to get deeper, you are love. But I hope that makes sense. I wanted to say Heavenly Father loves us every day. Absolutely. And that's exactly where I was going to go, right? So when I tell people you are loved, I don't want you dependent on just what I can. There it is. The reason I tell you you are loved is because there may come a time when I'm not in your life, or there may come a time when I'm not around to tell you that I love you. But by letting you know that you are loved, you can take that with you wherever you go. You can hold on to that if I'm unavailable. You can have that as substance for you when I'm not there to tell you I love you, but because you are loved. That is not something that I need to give you, but that is something that is with you. That is something that universally comes from your creator. You are loved, with or without me. We're going to do a live on love too, because the way that we understand love, we've been trick bagged into seeing love a certain way so that we never tap into the power that is love. And so that we don't recognize the power that lies in us when we're running on 93 premium, which is love. But we'll talk about that another day. All right. Did I miss any questions? Alexby Exclusive, welcome. How are you? Yes, my son taught me this. He exudes love unconditionally, and it's the most beautiful thing. Jazz, I love that for him. It's not about creating the universal love energy. All right, cool. I learned that love was only given if certain conditions were met. Lindsay, and when we have this live on love, when we get into the depth of understanding of love, so I'll simplify it. And I'll give you all just a nugget. And I got a post on my page about this. The moment you realize that your love is not supposed to be coveted and reserved for certain relationships in your life, the minute you realize that, you'll never feel empty and without it. Remember the analogy about, there it is, the consumer and the distributor. That's the easiest way that I can help you to recondition your mind about love. There are consumers of love. They only want to be loved on. They only want to be loved. They only see love as a condition of, if I receive it, then I have it, so I can give it. Right? And oftentimes, a consumer will have to keep going back to wherever they're getting it from. And if that supply of whoever or wherever they're getting it from runs low, they are low. Their energy is low. Their vibe is low. Their attitude is low. And these are people that you will find that they're good-hearted people. They just have a misunderstanding about what love is and how to retain it, how to live in it. But if you're a distributor of love, meaning I'm looking for someone to love on every single day. I'm sensitive to opportunities to say a word to somebody that's having a bad day. I'm sensitive to the body language of the people around me when I go into public spaces because I'm looking for somebody to love on. I'm looking for somebody to say something positive to. I'm looking for somebody to remind that they are loved. I'm a distributor of it, so I'm always filled with it. Once you recognize or once you realize that your love is not this thing that you only give to your person, or part of why many people struggle in relationships is because of their misunderstanding of love. But we'll have a whole conversation about that one day. Love comes with disappointment along with everything of this world. Let me tell you like this. Whoa. That's good. Love comes with disappointment only when I have an expectation of exchange. Love comes with disappointment only when I have an expectation of an exchange. So watch this. If in fact I recognize that my love is not to be coveted for only exclusive relationships, but I know the way that this vessel is designed, that, damn it, that's how they're killing us. If I know that this vessel is designed to run on love, right? I know that it's designed to run on love at the top peak performance of how I am supposed to be functioning in this vessel is to be functioning in love each and every day of my life. If I know that, right, then when I give love, I don't do it from this. So you're either a consumer or you're a flea market type of lover, meaning you only give it in exchange for something, which means you'll always have an expectation of a return, which means this vessel that is supposed to run on love is going to be deprived of it if there's nobody there exchanging it with you. So when that exchange doesn't happen, there lies the disappointment. But if I know that I'm supposed to run on love, and love is just how my body, and this is how I was designed to live. This is how I was designed to operate. When I give you love, I don't expect nothing back in return. What am I disappointed about? I'm a distributor of it. I'm not a consumer. I have an endless plug. So when I give you love, I don't expect nothing back from you. That's, ooh. You see, the concept of loving your enemies is one that we understand and we talk about, but we don't know the power of it. The concept of loving your enemies comes from the reality that I don't need nothing back from you. In fact, depending on the means by which you have determined that you are my enemy, I can love you. And when I say depending on the means, if this is not something where you are a physical threat to my health or to the health of my loved ones, and this is just you don't like me because you don't like me for the reasons that you don't like me, the greatest weapon in this battle of you being my enemy is how I love you. Because guess what? Hate, you know how they say misery loves company? Misery loves company in the sense of if someone has that adversarial view towards you, and if you want to engage in, oh, I know this person doesn't like me, but I'm going to make this a part of my reality, because it doesn't have to be a part of your reality. But if it is in your face, I work with this person, whatever it is, the most effective thing that you can do is set your mind to love that person. Again, if this person isn't trying to harm you, whatever it is, and this is just energy that they're trying to exchange with you, every time they send their energy towards you, you can absorb it, right? Oh, this person doesn't like me. They talk crazy about me. You can absorb that energy and make it a part of you. Now you have to wrestle with it. Or you can simply go, nah. Whatever that negative energy is that you're sending towards me, I don't even receive it. But what I'm going to do is send this love back your way. But yeah, I think that's going to be our midweek conversation on love. I think that's what we'll do. We'll dig into love. Because that's once you understand the power of love, y'all, there it is right there. How I know that I have favor in everything that I do is because I operate in love. How I know that I have favor in everything that I do is because I operate in love. How I know that I have God's favor is because I'm operating in the energy of God, which is love. That's why we know, right? Watch this. That's why we know how we know that God is love and the universal energy is love, and how we know that there's a separation between those that are actually seeking God and those that are promoting the religion is by what did Yahshua say you would know who's with me? By how they love their brother. That is the energy of the universe. That is the energy of God. Love, right? And part of why we've been conditioned to see love as this dangerous thing is to separate you from the power that turns your body into an inner energy generating, manifesting vessel that you were created to be. The most powerful force on this planet is love. All right, let's get back to these affirmations. Oh, I like this one. I am capable of every dream and worthy of every desire. I am capable of every dream and worthy of every desire. For those of us that were told in our childhood that we'll never be nothing, that we'll never amount to nothing, that's an affirmation that even if you've gone through the state of forgiving the people that spoke to you this way, and even if you've become a success now and where you are, I would add that to my affirmation board. I would add that to my affirmation board. I am capable of every dream and worthy of every desire. Because you have to rewrite what they said to you. And you have to add that into those files. Mr. Supergood, much love to you, my brother. I deserve happiness. So I'm going to teach you why these affirmations are important. You know what these affirmations are? These affirmations are your weapons in the battle of your thoughts. These affirmations are your weapons in the battle of your thoughts. Choose the weapon that is most appropriate for the battle that you are fighting. So if you're fighting a battle of self-worth, then you know their affirmations, those are the weapons that you choose. If you're fighting a battle of feeling depressed and feeling down, then you know, choose the appropriate weapons to go to battle with those thoughts. Because remember, just because you're thinking those thoughts does not mean that they are yours. Those are intrusive thoughts that were downloaded on your hard drive through your environment, through your experience, or through people directly speaking them into your hard drive. They do not belong to you. But the way that your subconscious mind works, it's in autopilot. It's just doing what it's supposed to do. So what you're doing is going to war with thought that have taken residence in your subconscious mind that don't belong to you. But the good news about all of this is what they spoke over your life does not hold more weight than what you can speak into your life. But you just have to be as habitual as they were when they was downloading those negative words into your mind. And think of it this way. Those files have been sitting on your hard drive for 10, 20, 15 years for some of us. You're just not going to rewrite those files in a blink of an eye. That is why many times when we're given this deception about faith is that, once you're saved and once you just got to trust no, there's work that comes after that. There's work that comes after that. And many people that are unwilling to do this work will go through all of the religious traditions and will go through all of the religious rituals, but will never be able to live a life where they are distributors of love because they still have those corrupted files on their hard drive. They have a sense of holiness. They have a sense of goodness. They have a sense of all these things because they know how to go through the rituals. They know how to recite the verses, but they don't have a core of love within them because those corrupt files are still on their hard drive and they're still operating out of those corrupt files. Their thoughts are still coming out of those corrupt files. Their actions are still coming out of those corrupt files. That's why this work is necessary. It doesn't matter what your foundational faith belief is. And like I say, if you do have a foundational belief in a faith that teaches wholeness, healing, wellness, and fullness, then this becomes easy for you because you know that you can take those things to the Creator and He will mend your heart in a way that you need. But if you're living in the illusion that I got hands laid on me one time and everything in me got healed, then you're probably still living out of those traumatic or out of those corrupted files on your hard drive unknowingly and struggling, trying to maintain and live within your faith because you are trying to, we'll get to that. All right, so here's another one. I am safe. I think that goes along with I am protected. So again, knowing that affirmations are the weapons in the battle of your mind, depending on what you're actually battling, you choose the proper affirmations, right? I am beautiful and I accept myself for who I am. Listen, many people may hear that and think, oh, that's a woman's affirmation. Men, I'll say it like this. You know the battle that you fought. If that's a weapon that applies to you, pick up that weapon. Use it every single day. Absolutely, Christine. Absolutely. Men need to know that you are beautiful and you can accept yourself for who you are. Here's the caveat. Because I think sometimes people hear showing that love and compassion to yourself, and there's this small space to where accepting yourself for who you are sometimes means I don't have to do the work necessary to be the best version of myself. Accepting yourself for who you are means the parts of you that were not accepted, that were not embraced, not because you were doing wrong, not because you were doing things you weren't supposed to do, but the parts of you that didn't fit into someone else's narrative of who you were to be or what you were to become. So you stuck those parts of you deep down somewhere. Embracing those parts of yourself and knowing that even those parts of you are loved is what it means to accepting yourself. Not accepting that, I got a nasty attitude, but I'm just going to accept myself. Nah, that's negativity. My needs and feelings are valid. If this resonates with you and you know the battle that you're fighting in your mind, choose the weapon that is most appropriate. I show myself compassion. So there are some affirmations that are directions. There are some affirmations that are directions. Why would you be giving yourself directions? Because we develop, there are times when we develop behaviors towards ourselves that we adopted from those that caused the initial trauma. There are times that we adopt behavior towards ourselves that we picked up from the people that caused us the initial trauma. I'll give you an example personally for me. I used to be very, very hard on myself. I mean, if it wasn't perfect, it wasn't right. And if I didn't get things perfect or if I missed something small, I was very critical of myself, very harsh on myself. And when I started to actually do this work and get into the root of it, I realized I treat myself like that because that's how they treated me. And not only did I treat myself like that, but I treated the people around me that loved me like that. That's not a behavior that I serve myself with. That's how they treated me. And I picked up that behavior from them because I saw them treating me that way. I treat myself that way. So the reason why you give yourself directions sometimes with your affirmations is you're correcting behavior that does not belong to you, that does not serve you. So affirmations like I show myself compassion, that's you giving yourself directions. Hey, listen, you be easy on me, champ. I'm not perfect. I show myself compassion. If you know the proper battle that you're fighting, choose the weapon that is appropriate. All right, another one. I am so much more than I thought I could be. I am so much more than I thought I could be. That's one that that's one that I definitely resonate with. Um I don't know if it's on here, but an affirmation that I've added to my personal list, and I don't think it's on here. It's not. I'm proud of me. I'm proud of me. Whew, I could get up and do a little. I'm proud of me. I am proud of me, you all. I am so proud of me. Not only because I've come so far, not only because I've overcome so much, but because I'm standing here in love. I'm standing here every day, despite all that I've experienced, despite all that was done to me, despite all that I've seen. I'm standing here each and every day, willing to love myself, willing to love the people around me, and willing to find someone out there that needs love that I can pour it onto. I'm proud of me. I'm proud of me. At, for those of us that were told we weren't going to be nothing, for those of us that were told that we weren't going to achieve nothing, for those of us that were constantly put down and beat down with other people's words, watch this. No matter how much no matter how much you accomplish in your life, the people that are in your life right now don't know where you came from. And even if they know your whole story, they don't know the emotions that were attached to you today because of your story. So therefore, you may be accomplishing a lot of amazing things in your life, and your partner or the people in your life today don't take the time to tell you that they're proud of you because they don't fully know what you've had to internally overcome for you to get here. So that's why it's important for you to be able to look yourself in the eye and say, yo, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. All right, here's another one. Um, my needs and feelings are valid. My needs and feelings. Christine, I listen, if you when you all see the screen shaking, that's because I'm over here tapping my feet too, getting all excited with you. My needs and feelings are valid. You know, that's one that I find not only that comes out of childhood trauma, but I find that comes out of abusive relationship traumas too, where men and women both, where you're in a relationship for so long that where you're in a relationship for so long that your feelings and your needs were irrelevant, that when you come out of that relationship, when you meet someone else that puts that prioritizes your feelings and that prioritizes your need, because you haven't fully stepped out of the trauma of being subdued and abused that way in your relationship, you look at someone who wants to love you genuinely as they must have a hidden agenda or they must be up to something. That's because you subconsciously have accepted that your needs and feelings don't have space in your relationship. So when you meet someone that prioritizes your needs and your feelings, you start to look at them like, oh no, must be up to something. No, if you know, watch this, if you know that your needs and feelings are valid, That's the expectation. So when someone comes in your life and they prioritize your needs and your feelings, you know that's the standard. That's the expectation. It's supposed to be that way. So if you find yourself being skeptical, if you find yourself being skeptical of people that mean you well, ask yourself, well, why don't I think I deserve that? If that is my standard for me, and someone comes in and exhibits that behavior, then they're only responding to my standard. But if I see somebody coming in and exhibiting a behavior that means me well, and I'm suspicious of them, then the question becomes, why do I not think that they're responding to my standard? Here's another one. I deserve happiness. Let me tell you why this affirmation, is critical, especially in today's single relationship pool. We are convincing ourselves now. Watch this. We're convincing ourselves now that we're better off alone. Here's the underlining tone when you say that. This isn't all the time and always scenario. But if it resonates and applies, let he or she who has ear hear. Underlining those types of statements, what I'm hearing is, you are stepping away and accepting the idea of I'm better off alone from a place that says, or from a place that may be suggesting, what I want does not exist, or my expectations will never be met. Here's why, and that's for you to determine. I'm just trying to, again, if it resonates, catch it. Here's why, if you're in that space of I'm better off alone, I need you to really do some work in understanding why you've come to that place. Because if we know that the thoughts that we hold on to the hardest and that we focus on with laser sharp focus, and we hold on to the emotion that accompany those thoughts, if we know that's how we manifest things into our life, then if you are in a position where you're saying you're better off alone, you have already held on to certain thoughts and realities of what you can receive and what you can get and what you can have, that you've now concluded this, which is likely going to be the result, because if you're holding on to that thought with laser sharp focus and the emotion that accompanies that thought, you're going to start manifesting that in your life. So rather than, because here's the thing, right? As much as we think that's a positive statement, I'm better off alone, that statement actually derives out of negativity, because what you're saying is you're refuting something and accepting something. I'm better off means if the other option was presented to me, I'm better off by myself. Which means I'm pushing away the other option. And if that's your desire to be alone, then that's fine. That's great. Have at it, right? But if you desire a meaningful, valuable relationship in your life, statements like that are only pushing away what you desire. Because you're pulling to yourself loneliness and being alone and pushing away from yourself the opportunity of a meaningful relationship. All right? Here's another one. A feeling of peace comforts me. A feeling of peace comforts me. That's pulling, when I hear that affirmation, there's certain affirmations that I call battle affirmations. And that's when I'm in the midst of something. I'm going to speak this not only to me, but I'm going to speak this to the circumstance that's in front of me. A feeling of peace comforts me. To me, that's that battle affirmation when anxiety is trying to come out and play with your subconscious mind. A feeling of peace comforts me. I'm not going to be anxious about this. A feeling of peace comforts me. I'm not going to be fearful about the outcome of this situation. A feeling of peace comforts me. Let me tell you also what needs to happen along with these affirmations. And here's where most people are ineffective when using affirmations. Affirmations are not just words that you speak and then they magically do things for you. Affirmations are words that you speak and then your actions align with them. So let me give you an example based on this affirmation. A feeling of peace comforts me. When I speak that affirmation, I'm relaxing. When I speak that affirmation, I'm not worrying. And if the worry persists, I'm going to keep speaking that. If you're not willing to fight, to undo what has been done to you, if you're not willing to fight for it, then you may not deserve it. What do I mean by fight for it? What has happened in our minds and the information that has been downloaded in our subconscious mind sometimes is very powerful depending on the level of trauma that we've experienced. Some people will say things like, and we've seen some of this in the comments, so this is not a shot at anyone, but I want to show you the severity of understanding this. Some people will say things like, I can't control my thoughts, they just won't go away. Well, what are you doing? When that thought of anxiety comes over you, what do? I don't do anything. Okay, you're not fighting. Okay, so I feel anxious, and I said the affirmation, coach. I said a feeling of peace comforts me, and the thoughts of anxiety were still there. Well, what did you do? Well, nothing. I just went into the state of being anxious. Okay, so you have a weapon, right? We're giving you the tools, and your mind, let's say your mind has artillery, and your mind fires off a negative thought that makes you anxious. You fired off, your mind fired back, and you just conceded. Nah, you got to speak that thing. You got to speak it like you know it. And you got to keep speaking it until the adjustment happens. That's what I mean by fight for what you want. You have to be willing to stand 10 toes down and look yourself in the face and say, I'm going to be in peace. If that requires me to go through this exercise every single time that my mind feeds me a negative thought, guess what? I'm going to go through that. You know why? Because I deserve peace. And I understand those negative thoughts don't belong to me. These are not mine. But what I am speaking for myself, this is me. This is what I desire for me. And I'm willing to fight for what I desire for me. And then if you have that foundation of faith in knowing who you are and whose you are, then you know that you're not fighting with just some phantom power that, oh man, it's just in my brain. No, I know who I am. I know who I am in God. I know who I am in Yeshua. I know what I stand on. And I know that anything that's in my mind, the same way that it was deposited in my mind, I can deposit the things that I want for myself. All right. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. This is one that I can honestly say, being able to see the result of this in my life is also something that makes me so proud. I am in control of my feelings. Put a 1 in the comment if that's a weapon you're taking with you every single day. Whether it be to your job, whether it be to go deal with whoever, that's one that I take with me every single day. And let me tell you, that's one of the hardest ones. That's one of the hardest ones because we are conditioned to believe that our emotions and our feelings are directly attached to who and what we are. We have been conditioned to believe that our emotions and our feelings are directly attached to who and what we are. So what happens is I get mad. Watch, words, important. I get mad. Now I have to be mad. I feel mad. So now I have to be mad. That's the conditioning of how we were all conditioned to understand what these vessels are. I feel mad, so now I have to be mad. Remember, your emotions are designed to give you information, not directions. Your emotions are designed to give you information and not directions. Christine, I like that. Christine said, I asked myself, is it my feeling or am I allowing something intruding in my emotions? And watch this, Christine, I'll even go a step further. Even if it is my feeling, that's information. Y'all, if you grasp this, your whole life will change. Listen to me. Something can upset me, but I don't have to be upset. Look at it like this. I love using the analogy of the car. You're the vessel, right? This is just your vessel. You, the spiritual being that you are the person inside this vessel, right? Think of it as a car and you're driving it. When the car gets a flat, does that mean you have a flat or does your car have a flat? The car has a flat, right? So let's do this. You know that little, because I need tires on my car, so this little thing shows up all the time. The triangle with the exclamation mark. Who knows what that means? Your tire sensors, I forget the technical term, but the sensors that let you know how inflated your tires are, right? It's on the dash, exactly, right? Your tread's low or your tire pressure. That's what it is. Your low tire pressure, right? When that comes on your dashboard, does it change the way that you drive or does it just let you know you need to go to a gas station and put some air in your tires? Tell the truth. Because I'll tell you right now, I don't drive any different when that comes on. It just lets me know I got to get to it, right? That's kind of how you ought to be dealing with your emotions. We have been conditioned to believe that I feel a thing, I am that thing. I feel mad, I am mad. I feel sad, I am sad. No, you're not. No, you're not. That's information. I feel sad. What do you do with information? You assess it. I feel sad. Why do I feel sad? Huh. Oh, I feel sad because of this, because of this, because of this. Huh. What can I do about those things? Oh, okay. I can do this. I could do that. I could do this. Okay. Now I need to get back to how I want to be. You get that? Now I need to get back to how I want to be. Your emotions are the reason why many of us are controlled by our emotions is because we have been conditioned to believe that we are this with our emotions. You're not. And the minute that you understand how to separate the two is when you, here's the other thing, right? And I like this affirmation, I am in control of my feelings. It's not completely accurate. Your feelings are not designed to be controlled. Your feelings are designed to be understood, not controlled. Here's why that's important to understand. And even though I love that affirmation, and you can say that affirmation as a means of just speaking that into yourself, right? But here's why your feelings are not designed to be controlled. What you're learning to control is not your feelings, it's your response to your feelings, right? You're not learning to control getting upset because you don't like something or because something was done to you. Your feelings are a part of your body's, I want to say defense system, but that might be too harsh of a word, even though it could apply here. But your feelings are a part of your body's information system. They're supposed to do what they're doing. What's supposed to happen, you feel, and then you assess, and then you act. The idea of trying to control your feelings is just us using words, but the reality is you're not trying to control your feelings. You're learning how to control your reaction to your feelings. Right? I feel angry because, watch this. Once you start learning how to control the reaction, the feelings become exactly what they're supposed to be. That's why it's important to make the differentiation. Once you learn how to control the reaction, the feelings become exactly what they're supposed to be. Information. Let me give you an example. People cut me off all the time in traffic. I feel whatever that instant, that's all it ends up being, though. I feel it. Oh, information. I didn't like them doing that. Pass. I don't want to feel that way, though. I don't have to take on the rage of, I can't believe they did that. I got to go do something about it. I don't have to do that. I just assess the information. Oh, yeah, I don't like them. I didn't like that happening. But I'm having a great day today, and I'm going to continue to have a great day today, despite whatever that was. I think I gave this example the other day. I went into a store, and I walked into the store with a shoebox because I was trying to put something together for an event. And when I walked in the store, I didn't want to walk around with the shoebox, so I asked the clerk for a bag. They went through this whole thing about I couldn't get a bag. They don't know if they can give me a bag. They have to call the manager. The manager came up there and was like, "Can you prove that you purchased those?" And I'm like, "For a bag?" And then I thought about it. I know why I feel what I feel, right? Because I've been here before. I've been accused of things before, right? But I assessed that feeling and realized I also wanted to continue to have the great day that I was having. So I told the lady, ma'am, you know what? I'm having a great day. And despite what I know you're doing right now, I'm not going to lose my great day. So I'm going to keep having a good day. I want you to have a great day as well. Eventually got the bag I needed and left. Throughout that same day, that feeling kept trying to come back. That questioning of how dare she? And every time it happened, I just let it go. Every time it happened, I let it go. You know why? Because I understand that's just information. I didn't have to be upset about it. That's just information, right? I didn't like how I was being treated. That's what my feelings was telling me. I don't like this. Acknowledged. But that does not mean I have to have a terrible day because I don't like that. So the idea of understanding, and I think that's another live that we'll do too. We'll do a live on emotions. Because listen, once you understand how to control your reaction, you don't worry about controlling your emotions. You just let your information system do what it's supposed to. If you've experienced trauma though, if you've been through some traumatic events in your life, your information system can get a little skewed, can get a little hypersensitive about certain things. And that's why you need to do that tracking back to understand, well, why am I so sensitive about this? I knew why I was super sensitive about being accused of possibly stealing something in the store, because it's a thing, right? Your attitude overpowered the situation. And oftentimes, here's the other thing about understanding specifically why you have to know that your feelings are not you, right? The same way we talked about yesterday, your thoughts are not you, your feelings are not you. Here's the other reason why that is. Your feelings are a part of the system that turns this physical body into the energy generating vessel that it is. Your feelings are a part of how your vessel was designed to manifest. The feeling that you hold on to and whatever it is that you're laser focused on is a part of how you produce things here in the physical. So if you have whatever that experience is, right? Now I'm angry and I'm laser focused on whatever made me angry. And I don't learn how to disassociate me from the emotion that my vessel is holding on to. Everything that I encountered this day will be addressed, dealt with, and experienced through the lens of this emotion that I'm holding on to, because that is how I'm manifesting the reality that I'm experiencing. So once you learn, watch this. We're told that pessimists are people that just kind of, they see the negative in everything. And the optimists are just people that kind of, they're just floating around in fairy tale land. It's not by chance that pessimist lives confirm everything that they believe. Their reality confirms everything that they believe. It's no coincidence. Watch this. You can live with a pessimist, and their reality will be exactly what they believe in their pessimistic mind. And you can be experiencing a whole nother reality, going through the exact same situations every single day that they're going through. Because what they're holding on to in their belief and in their emotions about what they're laser focused on, everything going wrong, is manifesting in their reality. The self-fulfilling prophecy that we talked about yesterday. All right. Here's another one. No one. We've been at this 2 hours already. All right. We'll finish this and then I'll jump into maybe two more activities. And then I'll open up for a Q&A for everyone. Debbie, yes, I was live yesterday. Debbie had an impromptu live about you are not your thoughts. That's uploaded to the YouTube page, youtube.com/@girl_dad. For everybody that missed it, you can go to the YouTube page and catch all of the lives from all the previous Sundays, as well as other content that is not here on TikTok. And that's where we'll also be launching the podcast. So go there, subscribe to the YouTube page. That's where it's going to be going down at. I'm going to do a lot of my long form content there and then just upload clips here to keep everybody engaged. All right. So here's another one. This is a powerful one. Yeah, this is one of those battle affirmations. And I would recommend that you keep this with you on a daily basis. No one can inflict anything on me that I cannot handle. No one can inflict anything on me that I cannot handle. And let me tell you something. Trauma survivors. The hardest part of recovery the hardest part of life after trauma is recovering. Part of the reason why it's so hard is because having something done to you, taken from you, deposited in your life in whatever way gives you a sense, or it robs you of a certain sense of power over your life. Because if this thing was done to you unwillingly or without your consent, or is not serving your best interest, it's obviously not something that you had control over. Because if you had control over it, you would have stopped it. You wouldn't have had it happen to you. So trauma gives you this sense of, if not powerlessness, it leaves you feeling that somewhere inside of you. I want this to resonate. Inside that feeling of powerlessness, because this happened to you, comes also this idea that I don't have the power to fix it as well. But I want you to understand, you do have that power. You can make that decision. And even though at the time that you had that experience, you did not, even though at the time that you had that experience, you did not have the power or the ability to stop it from happening to you, I want you to know today that you do have the power and the ability to stop it from continuing to happen to you. Meaning, the more that you sit in a space of feeling powerless or unforgiveness or resentment, you are replaying that trauma in your life. You have it. You have it. If you're a praying person, if you're a believer, then you know you absolutely have it. Because you're not just depending on, and that's the other thing. When you know that you come from infinity and that you are a piece of the creator that put us here, then you also understand that the core of your power, the core of what you stand on inside this vessel, not the vessel, because you're not this physical vessel. You're the spirit being inside the vessel. Then you know that what you stand on, and what you stand from comes from infinity. But bringing this back to the scale of understanding, you are not powerless in your healing. You may have been powerless at what traumatized you. You may have been powerless at what impacted you, but you are not powerless in your healing. And really the objective of shadow work is putting the pen back in your hand as the author of your life. All right. But yeah, no one can inflict anything on me that I cannot handle. That's definitely a battle affirmation. One of my other battle affirmations, and this is one that I stand on firmly. As long as I've got breath in my body, you can't defeat me. I'm still breathing. I'm still here. Christina said, I can't break me. Absolutely. That's one of my foundational affirmations. I look at the world from that view. As long as I've got breath in my body, it does not matter what's happening in front of my eyes. The outcome will be in my best interest. I even go a step further and say this is going to exceed even my own expectations. And most of the time it does. Right? But that's a battle affirmation that I would definitely say, take that with you, keep that with you. And understand too, these affirmations are how you fight waves of emotional distress. Because here's what happens. Here's how emotional distress happens. It starts with a thought. And if you don't check or challenge that thought, it attaches itself to the emotion. And now that you identified with the thought because you didn't check it, right? The thought came, you didn't challenge or check the thought. So now the thought attaches to an emotion. And because you didn't check the thought and you identified with it, now you've identified with the emotion. Now you're in that state of anger, sadness, anxiety, whatever else you're dealing with. You got to check the thought first. So these are your tools. This is how you check the thought. All right. The next one. I love myself. That seems so simple. Some of us, remember earlier I said we adopt behavior towards ourselves based on how other people may have treated us. I'm not even talking about like just your self-esteem, about how you look. I'm talking about I'm talking about how you treat yourself. I'm talking about how you treat yourself. So when you're operating in love for yourself, let me rewind it. Not only how you treat yourself, but how you are treated even in your thoughts. Here's why this affirmation is important for most of us. So, in your subconscious mind, if there's a foundation of self-love, right? Follow me. In your subconscious mind, if there is a foundation of self-love, those self-deprecating thoughts don't come out of the same place that self-love is residing. So let's go back. You have your subconscious mind, that's your hard drive, right? That's the files that you don't use every day, but they're very much a part of your operating system. Then you have your conscious mind, that's your desktop. Those are the files that you use every single day and you're aware of because you're dealing with them daily. You may on your on your desktop, you may have an idea that you love yourself. You buy nice things for yourself, right? You do nice things for yourself because on your desktop, in your conscious mind, you love yourself. But on your hard drive, because of things that were either said to you, the way that you was treated, the way that you've come to see yourself on your hard drive, if in fact your mind is producing self-deprecating thoughts, if in fact your mind is producing thoughts that are contrary to your own well-being, there is something on your hard drive. Something has been deposited on the hard drive that says, I don't love me. It's not a conscious thought. Don't get conflicted here, right? Because many of us, if those thoughts were deposited on your hard drive, unchecked, unchallenged, as you grew, right? If you weren't properly loved as you were in your upbringing, somewhere in your subconscious mind, there is a question of if you are worthy of that love. Let me give you a real life example of what this looks like. You ever notice people that have been through extreme trauma will live a life of self-harm, even though they don't desire that for themselves? They seem to not be able to get a handle on the things that they're doing that's harming themselves. Whether it be drugs, whether it be behaviors, whether it be it seems like they can't do what's even best for themselves. That's because that lack of love in your early stages in your upbringing is teaching this hard drive how it should function towards itself. That's it. So when you didn't get that love in your upbringing, what it taught your hard drive is you don't need to be loved. And even though as you grow older, you develop, because you become conscious of, no, you're supposed to love yourself. That's consciously what you're told. So on the desktop, in your conscious mind, you're like, yeah, I love myself. I'm supposed to love myself. But the hard drive, the information that the hard drive received very early on was that no. If you were supposed to be loved, you would have been loved. That's why sometimes out of your mind or out of the hard drive, you get those thoughts of negativity towards you, right? You get those thoughts that don't serve your own best interest. That's why it's important, no matter if you have the consciousness of I love myself, if you're constantly dealing with negative thoughts towards you or negative thoughts about you, about your future, then that's a sign or a signal that you need to be downloading into that hard drive that particular affirmation. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. In my conscious mind, I may be showing that or behaving that way or thinking that way. But the fact that my subconscious mind keeps producing these thoughts that are contrary to my best interest tells me that something in this subconscious mind is not aligned. Something in a hard drive is not aligned with the desktop. I got to find out what's the virus that's on the hard drive that needs to be corrected. Make sense? Put a 2 in the comment if that makes sense for me, please. Put a 2 in the comment if that makes sense, and then we'll move on. There's 3 more left, and then I'm gonna do something for everyone that has the book, the journal, and then we'll knock out one of these activities before we check out of here. Awesome. Makes sense. Good. All right. So again, if you have those thoughts that come up in your mind that don't serve your best interest, those negative thoughts about you and all of those things, I would suggest that you add that I love myself affirmation to your arsenal. I would also suggest, even though it's not on here, that you add that God loves me. If that is the foundation of your belief, know that God loves you. And that, if that is the foundation of your belief, that trumps even the level of I love myself. Wait, let me rethink that. The two should coincide. Right? If you truly believe, the two should coincide. I'll leave it there. That's a deeper conversation. Kimmy, you kind of hit it on the head, right? And that's what I was just thinking about, that there are times because of our experiences where we know that God loves us, but we struggle with that love for ourselves. And that's a part of why doing this work is important, because you can come to a place in your faith belief or in your belief where you know you have that love from the Creator, but yet you still struggle with that love for yourself. And there's a reason for that. And you have to kind of do that work to discover what that is so that you can build from there. And so that the love that you know that God has for you can fill those places where that void is, that is producing that lack of love for yourself. That was good. I'm glad you were transparent with that. Divine Spirit loves you. Absolutely. Infinite Spirit. Absolutely. All right. So this one is going to be specific for those that need it, but I also want to add that this isn't just physical. The next one is I can protect myself. Let that be appropriate to who it resonates with. I can protect myself. I would add that if you've experienced emotional trauma, that's one that you should put in your tool belt. I can protect myself, because in certain spaces where we felt like we couldn't protect ourselves, that idea of not being able to protect yourself produces that fear and anxiety in a lot of other things that you do. I agree with that, Christina. I agree with that. So that statement of I can protect myself is not just like a physical thing, right? But I think it also resonates. It should resonate with you emotionally. It should also resonate with you from a healing perspective, right? Meaning that just because I've had this or that or whatever other experience happen to me does not mean that I am incapable of stepping up and releasing these people, those people, or that person, because that is a means of me protecting myself. Remember, I said giving back that deposit that was made to you, that is a means of you protecting yourself. Okay? Oh, I like this one. This is a good affirmation, and it's going to apply to exactly who it's supposed to apply to. Teresa, I like how you worded that. I will protect me. We'll talk about wording these affirmations to how they to be specific for you. The next one is setting firm boundaries come easy for me. You know who you are. Add that to your repertoire. You know who you are. Add it to your repertoire. Setting firm boundaries comes easy for me. Add that to your repertoire. You know who you are. Um, and ooh, I like this one. My energy is limitless. When I read that, it's basically letting me know and confirming that I am one with the Creator to put me here, because that Creator is infinite. I am also a piece of infinity. My energy is limitless. So real quick, I'm gonna share this this activity with you all. I'm gonna read what the activity is and why. And then I'm probably gonna bounce through a few more of these activities to kind of give you some pot shot. Even if you don't have the journal, you can do these activities. All right. So the gratitude list. Basically, this is you making a list of things that you're grateful for. But I would also recommend that you do this before your feet touch the ground in the morning. The moment I open my eyes, I start speaking gratitude. Infinite Spirit, I thank you. I thank you for life. I thank you for love. I thank you for air. I thank you that I have health today. And then through my gratitude, I go into my prayers of proclamation, right? I thank you that I am whole. I thank you that I have a sound mind. I speak that today is going to be an amazing day. I speak that today all that I desire will come to pass. I speak that, and here's the thing about proclamation prayers, where most people think, so if you're not used to praying through proclamation and you're used to praying through asking for things, you'll struggle with this. The difference between praying and asking for things is the idea that I don't have the ability to manifest these things. I'm going to pray and hope that I'm one of the people that makes God's list of prayers that he's going to answer today. And if I don't make that list, then, oh, well, maybe I just wasn't, whatever you make up in your mind, right? That's the foundation of praying and asking for things. The difference is when you are praying through proclamation, I'm proclaiming things as though they are. I know with my proclamation, there is a requirement of action. So when I proclaim through my prayer that today is going to be a day of productivity, that today is going to be an amazing day, I am also prepared to walk in that proclamation and not expecting some phantom idea to appear for my day. Do you follow me? When I make a proclamation, I am also prepared to walk in that proclamation. If I proclaim that today is going to be a joyful, peaceful day, that means everything that challenges my joy today, I'm stepping on and stepping over. Does that make sense? This is the power that we have through our Creator, through Source, through God, right? That is the difference between praying and sitting and hoping, oh, I hope I make the list of people that God's just going to bless today, and proclaiming today is going to be a fruitful day. When I make that proclamation that today is going to be a fruitful and prosperous day, that means I'm prepared to get up and go put in some work to make sure that today is fruitful and prosperous. That means that anything that challenges my ability to be productive, fruitful, and prosperous today, I am willing to step on and step over. That's the thing with affirmations as well. I'm not making an affirmation that I am loved and then allowing a thought to overrule me today. When I make my proclamations, I'm prepared to stand on and walk on. You can't manifest in your bed. You're not going to manifest wealth laying in your bed. Just because you think it and say it doesn't mean that it magically appears, because that goes back to the same foundation of phantom religion that we're stepping away from. But you got to be willing to stand on it. So when I say that today is going to be a day of peace and joy, and I'm speaking it as though it is, I know it is. Why? Because I'm also going to align with what I just spoke. And then because I'm living in love, I know I have the favor of the Creator behind me. I know I'm aligned. All right. So yes, this gratitude activity, and I'll read the exercise real quick for those that don't have the journal, and then I'll go into a little bit of the why. So take 5 minutes to create a gratitude list. Think of all the things that bring you health, peace, and love. List both big and small things in life, from your home appliances to your relationship with others. All right, I'm cool with home appliances. That might be something that you're grateful for. That's fine. That threw me up for a loop for a second. If it feels right, acknowledge the things that brought you pain in the past, but have taught you patience and healing. When your list is complete, take a moment to say thank you to each one. Thank you for each one of the existing and making you who you are. Neuroscientist Dr. Rick Hansen suggests that the brain takes the shape of the state of mind we rest upon. Suggests that the brain takes the shape of the state of mind we rest upon. If we rest upon doubt, sadness, irritability, it may bring more anger, anxiety, and depression into our lives. If we rest upon joy, contentment, and love, we may bring more abundance and peace into our lives. Gratitude is a wonderful way of improving your life and creating more abundance by appreciating what you currently have. So to that, add what we just said previously. Not only do you rest upon joy, contentment, and love, but you're also willing to stand on it. And anything that is in opposition to that, you don't just accept it. Let me share something very personal with you all about how I operate in this life, right? Because I know I'm one with the Creator, with infinite spirit, right? I know that everything that looks as though it is not in my best interest, I deem it temporary. I deem it an illusion of the moment. Because when I say I know that things are going to work out in my best interest and in my favor, I don't say that with this phantom idea that just because I said it, and if it doesn't happen today, then, I'll try again tomorrow. Nah, that's not how you manifest. I say that with every fiber of being in my body, so that when I see anything in this world that is contrary to what I just spoke, I deem it as temporary or an illusion. That's not real. So what happens is that feeling of faith that I know it's going to work out in my favor does not waver because of what I see. If it does not look like it's going to work out in my favor, it's temporary or it's an illusion. Either way, it does not shake the foundation that I'm standing on. Even in the moment that it may not feel good, I'm still speaking what I'm speaking. Here's what happens. When you live like that, right? Here's an analogy, and I used to use this analogy very early on in me really crafting an understanding of this. The analogy that I used to use was two people, same profession. They both get fired on the same day because they're having layoffs on the job, right? One person goes, man, this is the worst thing that could have happened to me. I can't believe this has happened. How am I going to feed my family? What am I going to do? And watch what happens. Once you go down this road, the anxiety and the thought of the negativity and all that has gone wrong consumes you, right? That person spends the next however long fighting all of those. What am I going to do? How am I going to fix it? Da, 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 right? The other person goes, I'm going to have this is going to work out. Losing this job is going to open the door for my next best thing. What happens in their brain? Their brain, because of that position, goes, did you say next best thing? I'm looking for it. The subconscious mind starts to feed the conscious mind to find the next best thing. They're not dwelling on the negative. They're not consumed by the negative. They are consumed by what they just told themselves. This is going to open the door for a better job, for a better opportunity. So instinctively, your mind starts to look for exactly what you just told it to look for. And in that process, it starts to come to you. You start to attract it. The doors start to open because your mind is focused on that. So for me, when I see something that doesn't align with what I know is what's good for me, I don't deem it as, oh man, that's the negative. I go, oh no, that's just creating the opportunity for exactly what I want. And I wait for what I want. All right, so we'll do one more. Actually, no, I wanted to do this. So if you do have your journal, in the very back of the journal, there's this area right here that I want to put you all onto. This part, get to the root of your shadow, part 4. What this part of the journal is basically when you feel triggered, you can go to that part of the journal and do these exercises that'll help you figure out what is actually at the root of what you're feeling. Because sometimes in the moment, the feeling is overwhelming and you can't really figure it out, right? But you can go to that exercise and actually do the exercise. And there's an example of the exercise in here that'll help you get to the root of what you're experiencing and what you're going through. I recommend that even if you haven't done the activities that we already covered, I recommend that you go to that part and that you use this. It'll be very helpful in helping you kind of expedite that process if you're triggered by something, to kind of do this activity real quick to get to the root of it so you can actually address it, release it, let it go, and move on to your life. All right? We'll do one more of these and then we'll wrap up for the day. Yo, time flies when we're on here. Time really does fly when we're on here. All right, and then there's another part in the journal, part 3, where it's journal prompts. And what these are, you're getting prompts of different topics in a brief description, and you're just supposed to journal, right? I know, time definitely flies. I want to see which one I wanted to do. I marked a few of them. I want to see which one is a really good one. That was a good one, but that's not the one that I want to do. I want to do this one. Zelaya, you're very welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for pouring into me as I pour into you, because I learn a lot when we're having these conversations as well. So one of the journal prompts is judgment, right? And the reason why I'll tell you all why I chose this one, but I'll read what the prompt says. What do you judge others for? Do you do the same things that you judge others for? And what do you judge yourself for? Now, the reason why I picked this as one of the prompts that I wanted to talk about is there's this funny thing that happens with judgment. First thing I'll say is we're conditioned to be judgmental. Part of that conditioning, right, is, again, by design, And a lot of it comes from, so I'll take this perspective to it. We are comfortable judging people partially because we've been conditioned to believe that our creator is judgmental. A large part of why judgment, or the way that we judge people, is so normalized is because we've been conditioned to believe that our creator is judgmental. There are even segments of people that believe that not only is the creator judgmental, but the creator has given them authority to judge other people. Here's what I found and what I've discovered through doing this work and even in my own personal journey about judgment. The things that I've healed from, the things that I've healed from, I am not judgmental when I see those things in other people. The things that I've healed from, I am not judgmental when I see those things in other people because I see me. The things that we struggle with, we are harshest when we see those things in other people. It's easier to challenge them or to project on them what we have not conquered in ourselves. I believe it is written as such. How can you, what is it? The speck in your brother's eye and the spear in your eye? See, judgment implies or comes from a space that's either something that is in you that you're projecting, or because you because you haven't conquered that thing in you, it triggers you when you see it in someone else. On this journey that we're all on, what we're going to find is that the more that you heal, the less judgmental you are. Because when you see yourself on the other side, you don't look back or look down. When you see yourself on the other side of the struggle or whatever it is that you're working through, when you look back, you don't look back as here's a good way to put it. And I had this conversation with my person just the other day, right? We were talking and I was saying, I realized that, there it is, in trying to motivate someone, there's several positions that you can take. You can either push someone, and oftentimes we think that that's what motivation is. And I'm not arguing that, right? I'm trying to push you along. But I want you to imagine this. When you're pushing someone, where are you? You're behind them. And if you're pushing me from behind and trying to motivate me that way, more than likely, you're talking to me from my past. More than likely, you're talking to me from my past and trying to push me into my future or what should be my present. But what I realized was in the conversation we were having, it is much better, instead of pushing you, I'm going to pull you. And the reason why just that small adjustment to me made sense and gave me a better understanding is because if I'm pulling you, I'm talking to you from your future. My conversation is about what you can be. My conversation is about what I see in you. My conversation is about the greater version of yourself. And not, so it changes even your wording about what, sometimes if you're pushing somebody, don't do that. You got to do this. You got to do that. Whereas if you're pulling someone, you're encouraging, right? And you're in a space where your conversation is about where they can be because you are pulling them from where they can be instead of pushing them from where they was. And that's why I say on this healing journey, people that are really working through healing don't have an arrogant position of, why aren't you better? Because you always see yourself as, I've been there, and where I am now, I can only pull you here. And whatever I can extend to you to help you to get here, I'm willing to do that. So let's do this. I'm going to open up for Q&A. Let's say for about 15 minutes. If you have questions about chapters in the journal that you've completed, we'll talk about that. If you generally just have questions about, whatever you guys wanna ask, I'll answer those questions. While I wait for some questions to come in, starting next week, not like Monday, but starting next week, I am going to open my calendar for one-on-one sessions. Any inquiry or anyone who's interested in doing one-on-one sessions, you can send me an email you can go to the website and email me through the website, or you can send me an email at, which one do I want to give you guys? girldadsos@gmail.com. girldadsos@gmail.com. And once I get your initial inquiry, I'll then send you an email from our website email where you'll be able to access my calendar. We can kind of talk about the different offerings that I have, and then we can get you on the schedule that way and start working on whatever area it is that you need the coaching in. So again, that's girldadsos@gmail.com. Send me your initial inquiry there, and then I'll send you the other directions. But starting next week, I'm going to open up my calendar to coaching, doing one-on-one sessions. And then as we go into, as we get to the end of this month and into October, we're going to start doing subscriber lives based on subjects that you all would like me to cover. So if you're a subscriber to the live, I appreciate your subscription. And just as a means of showing you guys some additional love for all the love that you're showing me, we're going to do some lives directly just for you all based on subjects that you all choose, or that you reach out to me and say, hey, I want to learn more about this, or I want to talk about this. All right, so let me see if there's some questions in here. People have projected things on me saying that I live in a dream world, that they were not successful. For love me, thank you, thank you, thank you. Much appreciated. Also, I'll never ask you guys to gift in these lives, right? I'll say thank you for those of you that do, but I'll never ask you to. Christine, thank you for subscribing. Yep, starting in October, we're going to do the subscriber lives, where it's basically based on topics and subjects that you guys want to talk about. All right, let me see if I can catch some of these questions. How do you... Whoa, you guys are moving. Thank you for your time and wisdom and happiness. Miss Tracy, thank you. Something Olive says, how do you keep boundaries and show love at the same time? So, surprisingly, that is a very easy thing to do, right? Because love doesn't mean I allow you to mistreat me. Living this life of love doesn't mean that I allow people to run over me. I allow people to mistreat me. So there it is. Setting boundaries, first of all, is my expression of love for me. I can't really genuinely love anyone if I haven't established a genuine love for myself. So setting my boundaries is me checking the first box of how am I going to be a vessel or distributor of love if I don't have that love for me, right? So I think that's the most straightforward way that I can say that. Setting boundaries establishes and lets you check the box that you love you. And if anyone challenges your love for them because you are establishing a love for yourself, then you definitely need to establish a boundary for that person, because what they're showing you is that they don't respect your love for you, which if you don't respect me loving me, then I know that you're going to have a challenge loving me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to love you from the space and the distance that allows you to learn what you need to learn. Because if I keep allowing you in my space to disrupt this establishment of love that I'm building for me, then you will never understand what it is to not have what this space provides you. Doesn't mean I love you any less. It just means I've made enough space between us so that you're not disrupting my distribution of love. You will just get your love mailed to you. You just don't get it firsthand delivered to your door. I hope that analogy made sense. So whoever said that they would like a lesson, email me, girldadsos@gmail.com, and we can set up some one-on-one times. We'll go over some of the packages that are available and see what you're interested in, and then we can get you on the calendar. How do you transmute those negative experiences? Two ways. First, and I'll give you a simple thing that I normally do. When you revisit a negative experience, the first thing you want to do is don't go back into the shoes that you were in when the experience happened to you, but go back as an observer. By being an observer, what you're able to do is look at the experience from different angles. Most of the time, our hurt and our trauma came out of expectation, and the expectation was built out of what we expected from the people or person that we were engaged in this interaction with. So oftentimes that expectation came out of our position at the time that it happened to us. So for instance, in like childhood traumas, most of the disappointment or the hurt came out of your expectation for your parents. The reason you had those expectations for them, one, because they were your parents. And out of them being your parents, that developed in you a certain expectation of how they were supposed to treat you. When they failed at treating you that way, that is where that hurt and a lot of those other experiences that encompasses our trauma came from. If you go back to some of your childhood experiences and just observe them from an observer's point of view, the first thing that you're going to realize is Your parents did not have the ability to meet those expectations. The only reason you had those expectations is because one, you were a child, and two, they were your parents. But now that you're able to go back and look at those situations from the perspective of an observer, you can remove from yourself, from that experience, you can remove those expectations and go, that wasn't me. That was them. It wasn't that I wasn't loved. It was that they were incapable. They were dealing with their own trauma. They were trying to do for me or do to me something that may or may not have happened in their life. And by reshaping, at least by observing it from an observer's point of view and removing some of the expectation that you had of people based on the position that you were in at the time, by removing those expectations, you can mitigate the hurt and transmute what those experiences are for you and to you. Having boundaries and standing on them becomes easier the older you get, it seems like. I agree. But also, listen, the other thing about boundaries is if you're building if you're building boundaries from your trauma space and not your healed space, you may not be serving your own best interest. Let me give you an example of what I mean. If you've been in a bad relationship or a series of bad relationships, right? So now you go, I don't trust blanket statement because of this. Now you're building walls that are built on the trauma. So what you'll often do is you're keeping out things that could possibly be good for you. You're going to start keeping out people that could possibly be good for you. So if you're going to build boundaries from a healed space, because boundaries built from a healed space are designed specifically to protect you from what you recognize was the actual threat. Also, boundaries built from a healed space take your accountability into consideration. When you heal from a particular space, you are able to recognize, oh, I did some of that. Oh, I allowed some of that. So when you're now building the boundaries that are necessary from the healed space, you're taking into account the things that you did. So now the walls or the boundaries that you built are also not only based on what you're looking out for from the outside, but it's based on what you recognize was on the inside. Accountability is super empowering. I always look at accountability as taking, look at it like this. I look at accountability as taking the ownership to make sure that it does not happen the way it happened before. Taking the ownership to make sure that it does not happen the way that it happened before. Because if I play no role, if there was no decision or nothing that I could have done or can do, then I'm just a victim waiting to be victimized again. Right? I hope that resonated. And I know I missed a few questions here, so I'm trying to catch at least one or two more questions before we get out of here. Well, I like that. Boundaries protect and uphold our standards. I like that. Debbie, I appreciate you stating that. I've noticed I'm putting up boundaries in anger, and I'm gonna tell you what happens with boundaries that are put up in anger. How do I want to say this? Boundaries put up in anger don't protect you. Ooh. Boundaries put up in anger don't protect you. They protect whatever emotions got triggered. They protect whatever memories that are being triggered or that's causing the anger. The boundaries that you put up in anger protects that. It's not protecting you. What ought to happen, once you recognize, okay, I'm upset, you do the assessment of why you're upset, and then with a clear head, you create the boundaries not from the space of anger, but from the space of the assessment. Now you're actually protecting yourself. In the same way, watch this. When you get mad and you do things and then you regret doing them later, that's the same. Those are boundaries that are put up out of anger. That action that you partake in out of your anger that you then regret later, those are boundaries that are put up out of anger. Whereas if you assess why you're upset and then you make a decision that will serve your long-term best interest, you don't have to regret it later. How do you stop overthinking things constantly? By speaking to yourself. Here's the other thing. Speaking of accountability, anointed vessel. The other thing that I noticed, and I noticed this from my personal life, when I would obsess over thoughts, a lot of times they were because of my own behavior. Now I'm obsessing over the potential consequences of what I've done. So two things. One, the accountability part, right? Making sure I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to do, the things that align with what I believe in, the things that align with my foundational principles, right? Because as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, those thoughts and those fears of the potential consequences of what I've done or what I have not done are not plaguing me. And then if it's truly just thoughts that are coming out of your subconscious mind, all you have to do is start speaking to yourself. If they're not based on your actions or your inaction, and they're just thoughts that are based in your subconscious mind and they're kind of repeating and playing out in your mind, those are thoughts that have been downloaded onto your hard drive. And you have to do two things. You, one, have to disassociate yourself from those thoughts. Every time those thoughts come up, you have to speak with your voice, your vocal voice. That is not my thought. That is not my portion. That does not belong to me. And then also you have to speak. While we were going over the affirmations earlier, those are your weapons. You have to find the appropriate weapon depending on the thought that you're trying to battle, and then you start speaking that weapon towards that thought. Counter them. Absolutely. Absolutely. But the other part that was important for me to realize in my life, part of the reason why I was obsessing over things were I was taking actions or taking inactions, and then the potential consequences is what was developing a sense of anxiety inside of me. So I had to recognize and be accountable. Well, I should be doing what I'm supposed to do. I shouldn't be doing the things that I'm not supposed to do. And then inside of me, there wouldn't be this anxiety of expectation of the consequences of my actions or my inactions. I am battling a lot of thoughts that are not mine. You got to start. You got to start, one, just going through the battle of verbalizing, but two, getting to the root of where those thoughts are coming from. Christine hit it on the head. Those are all lies. Speak the opposite positive only. And then act that way, right? Make sure your actions align with your affirmations. Make sure your actions align with what you desire for yourself. Sometimes I push back against boundary violations, then I act against my values and have anxiety. It's common. I used to do the same thing. That's where most of my anxiety would come from. Either my inaction or my actions and the fear of the consequences. We get to choose which thoughts we give meaning. Absolutely. And then the thoughts that you give meaning, you either affirm or confirm them with your words and your actions. So the negative thoughts, you're going to confirm them either with your words or with your actions. But if you're battling them, then your words are contrary to those negative thoughts, and then your actions are contrary to those negative thoughts. And eventually those thoughts have to go to wherever they came from, not to you. Boundaries don't have to be me fighting. I agree. Is the shadow work related to childhood wounding? Yep, there's a whole section in there about wound mapping and mapping out the wounds from your childhood, realizing what the characteristics are, and then the activities are basically just taking you through recognizing what those wounds are, but also then working on how to move forward in your life. All right, 6:30 was my hard cutoff. I'm going to take the next 3 minutes to kind of just give you all some general information that I think may be useful to people. So, if you've missed these live, if you've missed any of these conversations over the last 6 weeks, you can go to the YouTube page, youtube.com/@girl_dad. That is the YouTube page where you will be able to find this entire live and all of the lives from the last 6 weeks, as well as other lives about information pertaining to healing, self-help, general wisdom. Please go there, subscribe to that page, turn on the notification. The I Am Healing podcast, which is one that I am going to be starting and hosting. I'll be having different guests come on telling their testimony, as well as sharing resources and tools that they used on their healing journey, as well as I'll be bringing on some light workers, other healing coaches, and we're just going to create a space where people can come and join the conversation and actually consume content that is going to help you to become the best version of yourself that you can be. That is going to be launched on YouTube as well. What we'll start doing is just putting the shorter versions of some of those clips here on TikTok, but I'm going to start transitioning more of my long form content over to YouTube. So if you haven't done so, please do go to the YouTube page and subscribe. Somebody please put this in a comment for me. youtube.com/girl_dad. That is where you will go to really catch up on everything, especially as we start to transition. Second thing I want to cover, starting next week, not this week coming up. Christine, thank you so much, Christina. Thank you. Next week coming up, I'm going to open my calendar to start scheduling one-on-one coaching sessions with anyone that's interested. To do an initial inquiry, email me at girldadsos@gmail.com. You can go there. You can send me an email there, or you can go to the website, girldadllc.com, and you can send me a direct message through the website. I've been doing some coaching with people, but I haven't really opened up my calendar and myself to the general public at large. So this is going to be my first time doing that. I'm excited. A lot of people have been engaged in this conversation with me. A lot of you have jumped on this healing journey with me, and hundreds of people have been reaching out to me in my direct messages and saying, hey, I would love to get some more additional time with you. I would love to get some time to really get some specific guidance on the things that I'm struggling with and on the things that I'm dealing with. So I'm opening up my calendar next week. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching, send me an inquiry email to girldadsos@gmail.com, or you can go to the website, girldadllc.com, where you can send me a direct message. Also, if you're interested in getting you a copy of the Shadow Work Journal and it is out of stock on TikTok, you can go to the website, girldadllc.com, follow the link and order your copy now, and you can get a 15% discount by using the code GIRLDAD. So if you're interested in getting yourself a copy of the Shadow Work Journal and you have not gotten yourself a copy yet and is out of stock on TikTok, you can go to the website, order your copy of the journal, and you get a 15% discount off of the journal there. Lastly, what else do I have for you guys? Oh, yeah. So shame and guilt. At some point this week, I'll put up I think they call it like the live schedule video, where I'll schedule the live maybe a day ahead, and then I'll put up a post letting you all know that, hey, we're going to be hosting the live on shame and guilt, love or emotion on this particular day, so that you guys will have time to actually catch it. One of the other thing is, you subscribe to the YouTube page, you never have to miss it. Even if you miss a live, you can always go there to catch the content. I'm also going to be shooting some of these lives directly on YouTube and not on here. So definitely go there and subscribe. But we'll get those 3 topics knocked out. If not before next Sunday, I'll at least do 2 of them before next Sunday, where we'll cover shame and guilt. I definitely want to do that one because I know how powerful shame and guilt is, and I know people that have left, that have made choices not to be here because of shame and guilt, right? And I think that's an important one to talk about. Sundays at 3:33 p.m. As far as the conversations on shame and guilt, love and emotion, I don't have a specific time or day yet. But like I said, I'll pick the date, schedule the live so that it'll be on my page. Hey, the live has been scheduled. And then I'll do a post letting everybody know, hey, we're going to be covering this conversation on this day. With that said, that is all the information that I have. I'm really excited about everything that's happening in my life. To all of you that reach out to me through direct messages with ideas, with suggestions, that want to continue to support what I'm doing, that get, most of the things that I'm exploring doing now have come from most of you reaching out to me. I need all the suggestions, help, and support that I can get. So if you have an idea, or if there's something really cool that you think that we can do with this, or that I can be doing with this information, reach out to me. I'm very open to hear from people. I'm just a regular guy that have been through a whole lot and that has managed to work my way through it and still find myself living a life where I'm a distributor of love. And that is the most powerful thing that drives me today. So yeah, I'm humble enough to learn from you all. I'm humble enough to listen to you all. I'm humble enough to take your advice. I'm humble enough to take some coaching advice from you all. If there are areas that you're more proficient in than I am, I'm open to that. Like I said, I'm opening up my calendar to one-on-one coaching to the general public. That idea came from someone just reaching out and saying, hey man, listen, you give us a lot of your time. I know you speak about your profession and what you do professionally. There's so many ways and so many business opportunity and so many people that are willing to support those business opportunities because of how genuinely you give of yourself. So, I'm sure there are other ideas like that out there. Many of you are proficient in different things that you do. Reach out to me. I'm a student before a teacher. In fact, my passion for teaching comes from my passion of learning. And when I learn a thing, I'm so excited to tell somebody else about it. And that's how I end up here. Right. Thank you. I appreciate that, H. Tamar Brown. All right. So again, I love you all. And as always, what I'm going to leave you with is 3 things. 1, love yourself like no one else can. 2, love yourself like the person who let you down should have. And 3, do not be a consumer of love. You will always run out. You will always feel depleted, and you will always need more. Be a distributor of love. You'll always have it. You'll always be filled with it. And by being a distributor, you are directly tied into God, the Creator, which we know God is love. Love yourself like no one else can. Love yourself like the people who let you down should have. Do not be a consumer of love. Become a distributor. Because by being a distributor, you're directly plugged in with our Creator, the source that put us here. You'll never be without, and you'll never be void of it. I love you all, and I will see you on the next go around.